3 shots, per par, I just do 2. 1 putt, par 4, birdie, woohoo. New driver, info, replace, M2, par 5, fairway, what you fin do? Think I'll try to get on into, start right, good line, good view, it drew, shoot and make Gavin, 2 thumbs up.
All right, on the Screws Podcast, episode number 88. This week we are joined by Keenan Phillips, manager of product marketing and developmental tour for True Temper Golf and Project X. How are you doing?
Good, doing well. What's going on, guys?
Yeah, man, thanks for joining us. I know it's early for you. It's early in the morning, and you're dealing with just one time zone difference, I guess, for now, but or a couple hours difference from us. So I appreciate you getting up early with us. Brycer's here. Bryce is like a big gear guy. I am as well, but we're all a little foggy this morning, so let's jump into it and let's chat some golf, man. How are things? Maybe you could just we'd like to just do a quick intro. Maybe tell us about yourself. I know you're playing a lot of golf right now, maybe even a little bit away from the course, and then we can kind of jump into all the gear.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, like I said, I'm the manager for all our product marketing and developmental tours. So, anything that's kind of below Corn Ferry, so college, and then AJGA kind of junior golf stuff. Probably make it out to 10 events or so a year from like the junior side of things. Uh, Trying to that way make sure they're supported, the OEMs at that level supported on product too. That way, once they go to college, go to the Corn Ferry Tour, PGA Tour, they kind of have that relationship from our end, kind of pass them on to our guys there, and just kind of provide that seamless transition and just make sure. Hopefully, everyone's trying to play their best golf possible. So that's been a nice addition to the job the past few years. And then on the product marketing side, I've done that since I guess started about 5 years ago. So that's been something I've enjoyed a lot, and was at our headquarters in Memphis for the first 4.5 years, and made the jump out to San Diego about 4 months ago. So still getting used to that, but like we mentioned beforehand, San Diego's tough to beat. So
Yeah, I was telling him, Bryce, that we had on like Bradley and those guys that do the editing with Bryson and GM Golf and those guys, and they were out in San Diego at the time. They were just loving it. Like they were kind of raving about it. They were having a really good time out there.
Where are you from originally?
so from Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I grew up in West Texas, so Lubbock, which is where like Texas Tech University is. Went to college in Austin. Folks live in Austin now, so I was born there too. So it's good to get back. Austin's a fun city. I got the rest of my family kind of in South Central Texas too, so it's good to get back and see them when I can.
I'll be in Austin I'd say in a week and a half. That's where we're headed. So, any ideas? Any spots to go check out?
Whatever's by the AC, whatever's by the fan.
Yeah,
stay in the AC. But no, Rainy Street's always a good time.
Yeah, I
so
think
obviously
that's the one that
you
we
got
looked
Sixth
at.
Street. Yeah, you got Sixth Street and stuff, which is fun and a good time. But yeah, Rainy Street's a blast. Yeah, I mean anything on that little area of Rainy Street, you'll have a really good time.
Yeah, just bring a fan and lots of water, I guess.
Right.
So, well, like I was saying too, Bryce has similar, like Bryce in Michigan, so he has similar weather to what I would have in Toronto here right now. But it hasn't gotten that hot yet. Like we haven't experienced that much heat yet. So usually
maybe like a couple days here and there, but like not like consistent heat.
Usually we have like a couple days at like peak. We go Celsius here or like into the high 80s, 90s, but it's like 110 in Austin right now. So we're gonna have fun with that. I know we're going to like Top Golf and stuff too. So I don't know. It'll be find some air conditioned spots. I guess it'll be all right. Recently, Keenan, you were down at the U.S. Open. Well, I guess it was a little over a month ago now or so, and you've been playing some golf. Can we talk a little bit about some of the tracks you played recently?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Just a month ago, it's all blending in right now. Been on the road since then, but U.S. Open was phenomenal. I mean, walking around and seeing the country club was unreal. It's the first time there for me. It's a course that I hope in my lifetime to get to go play. It looks so much fun. But I guess since then, like you said, I've been kind of traveling a bit. I took a little vacation with, as I mentioned, my parents are out on the West Coast right now, so trying to stay out of that Texas heat. So we went up to Santa Cruz for a few days and played Pasa Tiempo, which was a treat. So I saw it a few months ago for the first time at the Western Intercollegiate and just fell in love, just kind of walking the course for a few days. And I told them, both my folks golf, so I told them we had got to try to get out here when we can and get on. So we enjoyed that, had a really good time there, and then I was just up in New York for an HAJ tournament at Bethpage. So first time there. Um, Kind of similar experience. Was there early in the week, walking the course, and I'm like, this is obviously, and it's weird to say like, oh, this is phenomenal because it's supposed to be phenomenal, but just seeing it in person and walking it, sometimes you have some of those courses that spit your eye and you see them, and that was definitely the black for me. So um, my buddy writes for golf.com, my best friend, so he lives in Brooklyn. We made the drive up on Friday, and yeah, got to play Bethpage Black. So that was it's a pretty good 2 weeks right there between those two. It's tough to beat.
Yeah, a
That's
friend of
sweet.
mine, sorry, Bryce, a friend of mine was just up
Oh, you're
there.
good.
Anthony, he's been on the pod before. He, we have Score Golf Magazine up here, so he's one of the panelists, and he's on the Golf Digest panelist, and he's played all the top 100 in Canada, which is really cool, and played like quite a few down in the States. I know he was down there. Fisher's Island was his favorite that he played down there, which is, I
Hmm.
guess, just like a must play. I think it's a top 5 course in North America or something, but he played both played the black course, and then there's another one at Bethpage too, right?
Yes, they have black, red,
And blue.
blue, green, yellow.
Oh, okay. So
So they
yeah,
actually have quite a few, but black and red are the two biggest. Yeah, those are, I guess, the best, quote unquote,
yeah, those are the
courses.
two that he played. Like, I think he played the 36 in a day, and he said it was just like phenomenal. Some of the, like, just I don't know, some of the photos that he took. He played like I think he played Hudson Valley. Is that it too? I think there's another one like that was out in New York. So he loved it. He said it was a really good trip. Has it always been golf for you, Keenan? Like, you always like have you been a player? You know, kind of growing up.
So I played baseball growing up, actually.
Mm.
So from just about when I could walk until throughout high school, kind of got burnt out at the end of high school, wanted to just go to college, enjoy my life there, and always played golf off, off and on growing up. My dad played golf in college, so it was always a part of, I guess, my life there. Um, Kind of some roommates in college played too, so just got into it at the right time and got into the equipment side. I've always been a huge equipment nerd with whatever it is that sport I played. I used to get East Bay magazines or Baseball Express magazines, and just spend an hour and a half once they came in, just flipping through the same pages. And it was the same thing every month. I would still just try to find that one or two new pieces of gear that were out and just, yeah, immerse myself in it. So, yeah, kind of the dominoes fell at the right time to try to get in the golf industry. Fell in love with the game, like I said, more and more in college. And the equipment side for me, for just about any sport's always been an easy sell. So it just made sense, and I'm still enjoying it to this day. So very lucky.
Yeah, I kind of like what you said there about how you always used to flip magazines because I'm kind of similar in that way. Like even sports I didn't play, like I'm on YouTube, looking up what guys are using, like baseball gloves, hockey sticks, lacrosse sticks,
Yeah.
golf clubs. Like I was just always interested in how they used it and why they used it because I could kind of relate because I did like all my own sticks in lacrosse. I ordered my own sticks in hockey, so I could kind of like relate
Hmm.
what they liked and how and why they liked it and like kind of what I like. So I've kind of always connected with that side of the game. So
I feel like
Yeah.
in sports, it's kind of like one way or the other. You're either really into it or you're not,
or
right?
you'd have no
Yeah,
idea. Yeah.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
like when I was playing, like when I got into baseball, I was like really into gloves. Like that was like my thing. Like the bats are like, you know, they're all like slow pitch bats or whatever up here, so they're all like end load or medium load or whatever it is, and like
Hmm.
it's like cool to like check that stuff out. But like the gloves were like what fascinated me, and then like
Yeah.
I was saying, like when I played lacrosse a little bit, so I tried to do some webbing and stuff like that. Bryce, I don't know if you did, but yeah, golf gear is like it's extensive, right? It's extensive, and it's kind of something that I think a lot more players are gaining knowledge on, and we're understanding that like you can tweak different things to really like help your game, right? So um if you're like can you tell us how you got involved with True Temper, and then we can kind of get into some of the gear stuff?
Yeah. So I mean, just like I said, on the college side of things, just fell in love with the game of golf. Always been an equipment nerd, and so for my major, I needed an internship to graduate. That was part of the requirement.
Right.
Um, and I knew I wanted to work in the golf industry if I could make it happen. Uh, it's kind of tough, I guess, to get into. There's not necessarily a lot of postings. It's not, like going to be a financial analyst for some big company that has, 20 postings, like pretty well organized on wherever, Monster or LinkedIn or any of these things,
Mhm.
to try to find a job. So um, I was really kind of looking at each company's page. Obviously, you got kind of Callaway, TaylorMade, Titleist, Ping, all the big OEMs that have kind of listings already set up, but nothing necessarily for an internship. And so I actually remembered, True Temper. It's a funny kind of story. So Tiger Woods, I think it was like 05, 06, like on the PSP. I remember I was doing like my story, like playing the video game,
Mhm.
and I'd gotten sponsored by True Temper. Like, I don't know, it was early in the game or something. And I was with my dad, and I was like 10 at the time, 11. I was like, "What's True Temper?" And so he kind of told me, and kind of ever since then, I always had True Temper in the back of my head for whatever reason. And so kind of they popped in my head, and I was like, okay, well, let me go check their website out. And they didn't necessarily have any job listings posted, so I just kind of wrote a little few paragraphs about myself in the contact form section. Uh, it was getting a little up to the wire on needing an internship. The graduation was coming up, and I didn't have one. So I was trying anything. So wrote a few paragraphs about me in the contact form. Luckily, one of my good buddies now was doing that and sent it off to the head of marketing, and I got a email back and phone interview from there, and moved out to Memphis, which is headquarters for True Temper, 2 weeks after graduation, and kind of the rest is history from there. So I got super fortunate. Got hired on that August or September after the internship. So yeah, really, really fortunate.
You did like a little bit of social media and stuff when you started, right? I'm curious, did you like write in the paragraph, or did you say, oh, like I don't know if you guys knew, but you sponsored me like in a video game when I was like 11, you know what I mean?
That part was not in the paragraph. So it's funny. My first boss I had, she had retired that winter, to be a full-time mom, and uh, she printed out the letter for me and framed it as like a going away gift. So
That's
I still
awesome.
had that by my desk.
That's
That's pretty
cool.
cool.
Kind of where it started, eh?
Yeah, it's a perspective for sure.
So we noticed, Keenan, like the current trends of the game. This is something that we're naturally going to start speaking about was like speed. Like everybody's talking about gear and speed. So has that changed a lot? Like you've been there for 5 or 6 years. We've kind of noticed like a huge spike in golf over the last couple of years with like COVID and whatnot. But has that been something that's changed dramatically with you guys? Have you always kind of been working, towards that speed game with True Temper?
Yeah, so that's changed since I've been there, and then really probably the 3, 4 years before I got there. So a great example is our hazardous line. So before that, um, all our graphite stuff, even in the 7.0 flex at the time, because we used to have a 7.0 for graphite, was probably flex and a half softer than it is now for us. So we'd gotten a new tool rep, and he came over, and that was the first thing he said is, everything we made at the time, 10 years ago, was, too soft, basically, for the guys on tour. So hazardous was really kind of our first, us dipping our toe into, all right, let's make something for that stronger swinger. And even since then, which is probably 2015 or so, hazardous came out. So 7 years now. Uh, each line has kind of progressed into just getting a little bit stronger for at least certain parts. Because I mean, you saw it, I guess. I mean, everyone saw it in the golf industry with Bryson,
Mhm.
whatever it was, 3 years ago when he started, really making speed a big focus, and everyone kind of made a big deal out at first, or about it first, and ever since then, just about everyone, if you're not doing it, you're getting passed up now.
Mhm.
Uh, it's crazy. So it just keeps getting faster and faster, and especially with some of the kids I deal with in college, it's the speed they have is it's stupid.
Yeah, like I was
It's
listening to
got.
Sorry, go ahead, Bryce. Go ahead, jump in.
I was just gonna say, like, it's got to get capped at some point, right? Like, guys can only swing the club so fast. When is it
Yeah,
gonna? When are guys gonna start slowing down and hitting that peak? I wonder. Because
yeah.
you guys got to try to keep up with these kids getting these high swing speeds and getting the lighter shafts for them so they can still get that peak speed. Because Yeah, those young kids, even my little brother. I mean, he's quick. So
Yeah, no, the kid that won the NCAA men's individual, Gordon Sargent from Vanderbilt. I've worked with him a couple times, and so I was following that group from the end, obviously. So they went to a playoff, and it's a 4-man playoff. Uh, and so where they play at in Scottsdale, it's just I don't know, 18 holes. This par four. It's usually par five, but they played as par four that week. And there's water probably 360s, so it never comes into play. Like you don't think about it, type thing. He's on the tee there for the playoff hole. Pretty much needing to hit one in the fairway type thing to give himself a shot. It's these four other kids. The last thing you want to do is hit one of the bunker or blow one out right and basically be out of the hole. He steps up and his ball speed was 194 on the playoff hole, which is just insane. Yeah, to do that just under pressure, just right down the middle, almost drives it in the water, which nobody even thought comes into play on that hole.
We've been even thinking about guys like Vim. Like we've had Zach Vimnitz on, one of Brycer's buddies. He's down at Moorhead State, and like I remember just casually talking about some of his yardage, and I think he said he was like hitting his 3-iron like 265 or something like that, like as a stock yardage. Like it's a lot to think about, man. And like both Bryce and I hit the ball pretty far. Like Bryce hits it a lot further off the tee than I do, but it's kind of just been like something that's, I don't know, taken over the game really. And like you said, if you're not hitting it that far, you're losing distance, right? And everybody's kind of chasing it right now. It does seem like it's kind of tapered back a little bit. Like it's still very prominent in the game, but like Bryce said, I think we're kind of maybe hitting that peak. There's always going to be new technology. Like I'm sure you guys are working on things to continue to develop it, but yeah, you just wonder kind of what that peak will be in the game and if there will be, a point. Do you guys like project that it'll just keep going up and up? Like, I think of even guys like Ryan Gregnall, he's a Canadian long drive champ. He's been on before and like swinging 230, like 230 ball speed is like,
yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously like Bryce said, there has to be a peak somewhere just from a physiological standpoint of the golf swing and how how fast a human body can move that. So I think we're probably getting there, but still from a technology standpoint and equipment standpoint, shaft standpoint, I don't know, just being able to make something for that speed, still be stable and still be light is quite a tall task. So
for sure,
it's fun to get to see the engineers go back and forth every day in the office.
It must change like the manufacturing process quite a bit too, even for like, just every OEM or just like even stock models, right? Like, cause the average player is looking for a faster speed now as well, right? And you have to have like more options, I guess, than we used to have. Like there might have only been, like say you're kind of dropping a couple shafts like each season. Now I'm sure you guys are kind of pushing out 4, 5, 6 different models, like for even just to go into like the stock, the stock sets like a Golf Town or Golf Galaxy or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, 100%. A great example of that actually for us is so our hazardous smoke green shafts are Hulk shaft, uh, which was one of the non-upcharge shafts, I believe, in the original sim for tailoring, which is crazy to think to have something that stiff. I mean, it was obviously not the up the gut, quote unquote, but it was but it was an offering, exactly, Cam Champ. And so that's a shaft you think like 10 years ago, like, oh, even like OEM custom. So as an upcharge shaft, all right, we might sell a handful of them because not a lot of OEMs are going to order this for, they're not, the Golf Galaxy, Golf Town's not going to have a guy come in and really need this shaft that often. But now it's pretty much a staple in most OEM custom lines. Just like you said, to kind of have that offering, that really stout offering for the players that come in nowadays. So
and
it's
that is
crazy
a big boy
to
shaft too. You got to bring it to hit that thing.
Yeah, I've swung that a few times. I'm a big guy, and I've swung that a few times, and I don't know if I can get all the way around on that thing, but like I even just think like I'm looking at my 3-iron here, like I have the like just the regular like black smoke in this one, and like it's sweet, man. The 6.0, like I don't know, it's just to have so many different options. Like I know Bryce, whenever we're talking gear, like steel versus graphite and stuff, and that was something we want to get to like later on with wedges and whatnot. But yeah, it's there's just so many options, and it's a good thing. It's like a good thing for the golfer now, right? Now you're dealing with like a lot of, I guess juniors or college level players and whatnot. Do you think players have a better sense in their like about their gear now more Keenan than maybe they would have when you started?
Definitely from a shaft side, um, which is a good thing, or I guess I wouldn't be doing it, my job properly out there. But definitely from a shaft side, you'll still get the players that, as we kind of talked about earlier, sometimes you'll get some that are super into equipment, whether it obviously just be shafts, new club heads, any of that, ball, what they play. Some that are just super dialed into all that, um, and kind of like to tinker a little bit or have a lot of questions. And then you get some that are just, kind of almost like DJ towards it all. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, that what putter do you play? Spider.
Yeah.
Yeah, that interview he had. So yeah, it's you'll still get that too. Uh, just kind of player dependent, but definitely on the shaft side, there has been I guess an increase in knowledge the past couple of years, which
I
I
f-
guess is good for my end.
oh,
Yeah, I
definitely.
think
Yeah, definitely keeping you in business too. Yeah. Go ahead,
I
finish.
That's
think
right.
it I think it's also good too because all the heads these days are all so good and so well made that I don't even think it matters really what head you play anymore. I think a lot of it has to do with the shaft. Just because the heads are so competitive from company to company. So I think it's good that kids are starting to realize like different shaft characteristics and kind of how they work and stuff. So
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Once you find that profile that fits and works for you, it can be eye opening for sure.
Can we talk like a little bit about the lineup, like maybe even some products that you guys have coming out for 2023? Have you talked about that at all, or do you have anything coming up yet?
Yeah, so we have new hazardous, which we brought out for U.S. Open week. So new hazardous black, so Gen 4. Um, Obviously, we had our original hazardous, which I mentioned, I guess, was 7 years ago. Then we had hazardous smoke, which was kind of generation 2, and then hazardous smoke RDX, just generation 3. And so for this line, instead of just keep adding those names after smoke or smoke RDX, because we were going to run out of those eventually,
mm,
we just went back to just hazardous branding. We changed the word markup a little bit, so it looks a little different. Um, and so we're just calling it hazardous Gen 4 type thing. So it's been on tour now for I guess about a month. Um, Gotten some good feedback from it. Hopefully that's coming out for us. Should be in the fall this year even. So pretty soon for that one. And that's always fun. I mean, new hazardous stuff for us is just about as good as it gets. People get so excited about graphite wood shafts, and so that's always fun to kind of see. A few new steel parts we're working on, hopefully for early next year too. DG Mid's been one that's been huge for us on tour since it came out. Tory, obviously, we were fortunate enough at the PGA to have certain player, Mr. Woods, put it in a driving iron, so
yeah.
that doesn't hurt the demand there. Now it's just trying to make enough. So um, that'll be a good one for us next year as well, and a few other things up our sleeve. But definitely PGA show. There's quite a few launches between our True Temper Project X, Acura Aerotech family. So we have PDR calls, so product development calls every week, and yeah, it's going to be a busy month and a half for us, late January, February, from a launch standpoint.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was gonna say is like you must see obviously like the Tiger effect, like wearing FootJoy shoes and stuff like that. Everybody's probably going and checking out what shoes he's wearing. Same type of thing if he puts like a one of your shafts in any of his clubs or whatever it is. But like even just this past week, like JT post like Boston went in the John Deere, like obviously he's playing Project X in his
Mhm.
irons. Like, do you guys see a direct like correlation with that? Do you get a little bit more influx? Like, do you have more questions that come in after somebody wins on tour? That's maybe like I know Bryce and I'll go afterwards and like Golf WRX will say like they'll always post the what's in the bag of the winner and whatnot. So like, do you get more questions? Do you guys see more peak like after that time?
Uh, Probably not as much if it's just dynamic gold at Project X, just because we're
Yeah,
pretty fortunate that it's that most weeks, and so
Mm,
I think the kind of the equipment rats kind of see that, and those questions have already been asked for the most part. When you get a product like LZ or DG 120 or DG Mid, something a little different, that's not Dynamic Gold or Project X, then we definitely will get that Monday or Tuesday, an influx of questions on that product specifically.
Nice. Sorry, go ahead, Bryce. Yep.
Yeah, I just want to kind of get into more of like the tour truck stuff and the at the event kind of part of it. Just with like one big question I've always had was I know you guys have those curing cells now with to do the adapters and stuff and the grips, but how do you get the grips? Like, so say someone breaks a club on the range on Wednesday, like how are you getting a club ready? I don't know if you deal with heads or just shafts, but putting a grip on it still wet. Like, how are you guys able to get that ready to go right back out and be ready for that day?
Yeah, so the solvent and everything, our builders out there for a grip, or they've been doing it for a long time, so definitely try to use the minimal amount of solvent they can, and usually within, you know, 30 minutes after, you're okay for the most part
Mm-hmm.
on a grip. Definitely on the tip adapters, like you said, um, with all the curing cells, that's,
It's
you're
crazy.
you're good once that comes out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just probably waiting 30 minutes on the grip, and that's usually generous nowadays. Usually pretty good. So uh, yeah, it's crazy to see. Definitely Wednesday afternoon, because that's when the trucks start leaving. If there's an
Mm-hmm.
equipment, if anything pops up, it's all hell breaks loose on the trucks. So
Yeah.
they like to be out that they like to be out of the course right at about 1. So
Yeah, I remember like Billy Spencer. He's on the bag for Sungjae, and he was telling us about like a couple things with like Sungjae's bag like that happened on Wednesday afternoon, and just kind of like the frantic idea of trying to get everything fixed up. I think it was like his 3-wood went down or something like that, and he had to get it replaced. Like I think he cracked the face or something with like as the truck had just left, so he had to play without it, or he was trying to like get it done within a couple minutes as the truck was leaving. It just seems like it would be, I don't know. So many guys are into their gear, and there's so many things changing all the time. And like I was watching Tommy Fleetwood, like has 2 different 3 irons with the same
Yeah, I
lofting
saw
that,
that.
like, it's
I
just
saw that too.
yeah, like
That's
different
super
carry
cool.
yardages and stuff like that. There's just so much that goes into it, and so much that the guys on the truck do. Um, like when you're at your tournaments right now, Keenan, are you doing a lot of the fittings? Are you doing much of the work like with the players hands on?
Yeah, so usually at the tournaments I go to, not necessarily as many fittings there. That's usually more checking in and, just gonna keep, catching up for the most part. Seeing who's playing well, keeping them back in mind, making sure their equipment's still working well for them. Since I don't get to see them, I guess that often throughout the year. Definitely not every week like a PGA Tour type event. So uh, a lot of them will do their fittings usually in the winter time or the summertime. So we have some big fittings coming up in a few weeks uh, that I'm lucky enough to be a part of. So um, for that, it's a lot of fun helping fit these kids and just, yeah, seeing what they can do. It's crazy. Obviously doing it on the PGA Tour and seeing, our reps do it and other reps do it there. Uh, I guess it's one thing to watch it, and even with these college kids, just because they're so good, it's a very similar experience for me. So
Is it like did you get to have a look at like stop by the truck when you guys were at the US Open, like kind of just like have a look and see what was going on? It'd be a pretty surreal event, I guess, or just kind of like to see what those guys are doing and like all everything that they put into it.
yeah, no, so our trucks at every PGA Tour events at the US Open as well. So hung out on our truck for a bit. Always kind of bounce around. I'll make it out to 5, 6 PGA Tour events a year. So at this point, 5 years into it, I know a fair amount of the reps out there. So I'll kind of bounce around to the other events too, say hi to everyone when I'm there that week and catch up a bit. So major weeks are fun. Um, because everyone, I think, rep wise, player wise, knows it's a big deal. And so everyone's a little on edge. But luckily, not a lot of players are switching too much major week. So kind of the reps get to really enjoy a major week, uh, and just kind of sit back and be golf fans, which is
Yeah,
which is
just
really cool.
just a few little things for them to do, eh? Nothing major.
Exactly. It's usually just regripping, loft flies, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah, if
nice.
you're
Um,
changing stuff outside the open, I guess if you're changing some equipment major week, you got maybe a few bigger problems.
yeah, for sure. I wanted to go into graphite versus steel a little bit for
Hmm.
shafts. I know obviously Bryson's gone into the graphite shafts, the Texas rebar he's calling it, but
Hmm.
Is it ever going to get to the point where everything's going to be graphite, irons, wedges, everything? And obviously, there's been some graphite putter shafts with the LA golf shafts and stuff. Do you think it'll ever get to that point where they can match the steel feel with graphite, but
Uh,
add more advantages of using it?
I don't think it will. Um, and I think you hit the nail on the head right there with you said the feel part. I think that's always going to be especially for
Separation.
PGA Tour players at that 130, 120 gram range. That's going to be a big deal for those players. That feel and feedback is such a big deal to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you've seen it obviously in the lighter weight stuff for sure, creep more and more into it, and it's so good in the lighter weight stuff. Because steel, once you hit that 90 gram, 80 gram, there's only so much you can do with it. Um, Graphite, I mean, regardless of weight, you can really manipulate it however you want from a playability standpoint. Um, yeah, so I don't think you'll see an overhaul. I mean, maybe, pretty far down the road, you might see more and more kind of within that, 115 range be a
Mm-hmm.
little more common. Yeah, I think the feel part of steel, the trusted consistency of steel, I think it'll still just, uh, yeah, I think it'll still be pretty relevant.
Like I know this year, like I've got the S400 Ti's, like my wedges, like I've got the MG3s, and like before I played a KBS shaft in my wedges before, and like it's just something that
Hmm.
like I don't know. This year, like I've fallen in love with those wedges. Like it is just like a feel thing, and it takes you a little while to kind of get used to it. But it's just something that you'll never. I just feel like I'll never like take away from my game. Like I'll never take that part away from my game. I don't know. Players just. I think as you get kind of as a higher level player, you'll always kind of go back to the feel a bit, right? So we can chase distance all we want, but I think feel is still like ultimate when it comes to wedges, especially, I guess, right? But
Silver Kruger on the track.
Gang, twirl, gang, 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 twirl, gang, twirl, twirl, gang. Give me that driver, I let it bang. Twirl, gang, give me that wedge, I'm taking that aim. Twirl, gang, twirl. If you ain't twirling, hitter, you lame. You sick of the twirling, hitter, you gang. Yeah,
There
I'm
you go.
twirling my
Yeah, I know. I think when I got added on the company, that was something I was super excited for. It was like, oh, I'm gonna all these options now. I can go get fits, see what
Yeah.
really, works for my game best. And after like an hour, it was like, oh yeah, X100 in the irons, S400 in the wedges. Cool, I knew that.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
well, and it's just like kind of like with the fitting process too, you can like manipulate your loft and your lies a little bit, and like
Oh yeah.
it just it does help. Like it really does help, and like the shaft, like it was one of the things too. Like when we like Bryce and I both play the stealth driver, and like this year the hazardous like RDX was like
Hmm.
that was like the stock shaft, or like one of the shaft options that came in it, which was like that's a pretty damn good shaft to get off the shelf, right? So a lot of
Yep.
people like getting that don't have the option to get fit, or that maybe can't afford it, or that are kind of choosing one or the other, like you're gonna find yourself a pretty good option out there, which is pretty good. I guess that's like the idea of like how much is going into the gear and how many options people have, and then you can kind of, it's nice to have that adapter where you can like change them in and out,
Mm.
swap it with a buddy or whatever it is, and like even Bryce and I being lefty and righty, we can still kind of pop a new head on and try it, right? So but the fitting process is something you got to do. Bryce, you might find a wedge game if you want got fit, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing. I swing my driver probably 120 miles an hour, club head speed, and I'm playing stiff iron wedges or iron shafts. So
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
boy.
we'll
Yeah,
have to send you down to San Diego one day.
I gotta bump it up.
Yeah.
I know. We'll have to change that for sure.
But I know it's early for you, Keenan. You got another call. Really appreciate you taking the time to kind of come on, educate us a little bit, and well, quite a bit actually, in the world of shafts and everything that's constantly changing and progressing. We'll definitely have to have you back on in the future, man. Really appreciate it. Can we share your socials anyway if anybody wants to kind of check out any True Temper? I know your Project X do a little bit of work with I think Acra as well, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
True
So
Temper, Project X, Acra Aerotech.
nice.
Yeah,
So
I think they're all just True Temper Golf, Project X Golf, Acra Golf, Aerotech Golf. I should probably know the last those for sure, but I think those are all just the handles themselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and I'll link them below. Anybody who wants to go over and check it out. Can we share your personal page? Anybody has any questions they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, so all my stuff's just KP Shafts. Pretty simple there. Yeah, feel free, anyone DM any questions. I try to get back to them pretty quickly. So
Awesome,
yeah,
man. Well,
I'm always here to help.
yeah, thanks for coming on. Bryce and I both love these chats. It's kind of cool to see. And the good thing is, next time if we can have you on again, we'll have plenty of new stuff to talk about.
No, for sure. And let me know if you guys are out in San Diego.
Is out in my ball in the course where I tee up. I lose a ball and I re-up. I miss a fairway, I probably end up in the ocean or maybe the beach. And I'm on a par 5 and I'm finna go reach it. Second was blind, I ain't see it. Feel like it might be an albatross, worst case scenario.